Now, carbon dioxide does get soaked up and locked in by forests and peatlands. So, protecting them in Indonesia, in particular, is one of the best ways to fight climate change. But forest fires often occur in Indonesia, and that releases huge amounts of carbon dioxide, which in turn heats up our planet. One Indonesian company, though, has made a business out of protecting an area twice the size of Singapore. Our correspondent Chani Vadvani reports in central Kalimantan.
Spread across a 157,000-hectare concession in tropical peat swamp forests on the Indonesian part of Borneo Island, the Katingan Mentaya Project in central Kalimantan aims to reduce approximately 7 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent per year. Still a tiny fraction of around 42 billion tons emitted globally in 2018. Managed by Rimba Makmur Utama, which was founded in 2007, the project works with local communities to protect and restore the forest, while selling carbon offsets to businesses like Volkswagen and Shell. More companies have shown interest to offset their carbon footprint.
So I think the whole offset is meaning that, you try to save whatever you can be saved, while you actually can you have to admit, because you have to drive, you have to fly, and all those things.
Peatlands in central Kalimantan accounted for 1/3 of the 2.6 million hectares of land burned during the transboundary haze crisis in Southeast Asia in 2015. Peat soil contains plenty of carbon because it is made up of partially decomposed plants that accumulate over thousands of years. Protected peat forests act like a giant sponge as they absorb carbon and store water. But protecting them is also a challenge. Forest fires blamed on land clearing have become an annual event, a major setback in the global fight against climate change.
At the peak of the dry season in September, farmers practicing slash-and-burn land clearing methods set fire to peat outside the Katingan Mentaya Project area. But fires in peatlands spread fast and burn for days, even weeks. And every year, those fires spread to peatlands like these within the project area and need to be put out.
The Katingan Mentaya Project is part of a UN-backed project called REDD+. It's a climate financing scheme for developing countries to encourage them to leave their forests intact and to reward them with carbon credit payments in return for saving forests, especially in carbon-rich peatlands in Indonesia. The estimated value of forest carbon in 2019 is between $4 and $10 per ton. Gases like methane and carbon dioxide released by the peat are measured at various points across the project area, and the peat is re-wet or restored depending on the data obtained. The United Nations REDD program, or Reducing Emissions from Deforestation and Forest Degradation, assists countries to develop the capacities they need to meet REDD+ requirements, so countries can qualify to meet the results-based payment. The project in central Kalimantan covers an entire peat dome and is one of the largest and oldest REDD+ projects in the world.
What's happened in a lot of these places is that the vegetation on top is cleared, and then those peatlands are exposed. Sometimes they're even drained, and so the water table is going down. And what happens in that case is that those peatlands that were normally storing carbon start emitting carbon into the atmosphere at pretty high rates.
In a country where deforestation is rampant, 90% of forest fires are directly caused by humans who go on to use the land for industrial agriculture. M. Zainuddin once counted himself among those people. He used chemical fertilizers for his crops. But after 5 years of education, persuasion, and training, the 42-year-old farmer established a school along with others like himself in 2016, facilitated by Rimba Makmur Utama, teaching best agricultural practices.
Ketika kita berpola tanam organik, kita tanam kedua, tanam ketiga, bahkan petani dari teman-teman kita yang lain itu di musim kemarau pun masih bisa panen, termasuk harga.
This is just one of Rimba Makmur Utama's 26 project activities. Its CEO, Mr. Darsono, says he has been approached by a number of investors who have expressed interest in an expansion plan in the last 6 months. And with rising global awareness on the plight of forests and their functions as the lungs of the planet, carbon financing may be the business investors increasingly turn to not only preserve forests, but also make money doing it. Chandni Vatwani, CNA, Central Kalimantan.